Okay, here's part 2 of the video because I had to turn it off in order for you to see the infomercials. So you can see on that how it follows all of the different elements here. It gets your attention, it identifies the need. It talks about here's your solution. You don't have to have your blankets falling off anymore. It's going to be warm. It's going to stay on you. It's something new. And the call to action is obviously please buy this product and keep us employed and make us rich. Okay, so going up to the first bullet there, we talked about this a little bit earlier. And this is exactly what the infomercial showed is Monroe's motivated sequence, persuading the audience to adopt a plan of action. Now, also here on the screen, I have over here the outline that would be done, the type of outline for this particular approach, okay, this format. So remember, there are 3 different formats you can use, and the problem, cause, solution we'll look at also is going to be the most popular. Okay, so all you need to know is there are 3 different ones. This is Monroe's, and I want to take you through this just a little bit and show you how it's done. First of all, you'll set up the attention, how you get attention, then how you transition to your first main point, putting in your points, your subpoints under your first main point, then your second main point with subpoints, your next point, just like all the ones we talked about, and then transitioning to the end and the call to action. Now, I'm going to give you each of these documents too, so you don't have to worry about writing any of this down. You'll have it to refer to. Okay. While we're talking about these, here's the next one. This is the comparative advantage template that we talked about, how you're going to compare why your argument is better than the audience. Okay, so what this would look like is similar introduction. In your body, you would have your first argument. Okay, then you would have the alternative person's argument, and then yours to counter that. You would do that for the next point and the next point, and then in your conclusion, it would be similar to the others, where you're going to restate your thesis, review your main points like we talked about, and you're going to have your memorable closer, your call to action, which should involve the word urge. And call to action. It has to be action. You're going to get so tired of hearing us say that. Okay, here is an outline actually done for the problem, cause, solution that you can refer to. It's a great format. It's something you can use as a guide when you do your outline. And I'm going to say more about these outlines in a second. So here is the explanation of the introduction, just like we talked about, only each one's explained. Your body, your main point, the problem, see it? Second subpoint under problem. Next, the cause, see it? There's a subpoint under the cause. Then the solution, 2 points to the solution. So you just have to make 2 points under each of those 3 areas. Then in conclusion, we're going to restate our thesis, review the main points, and have the call to action. Okay, now, when you do your outline, okay, this needs to be thorough. It's not going to be word for word, unless you want to memorize every word, how you give your speech. But the points will be the same. The information will be the same. What you want to do is start with something like this in a narrative format so that we can see you're on the right track. It explains all of your points. It helps you as your guide to to remember what you want to include so that you don't have to keep looking through different websites, all of your notes and everything. It's all right here on one sheet. All right? So just make sure that you cover each of these areas. And then what you're going to do when you start practicing your speech is you're going to make sure you include the information here in your speech, but you're going to start memorizing it, and then you'll need fewer notes to go by as you memorize it. And we'll talk more about that later. But just know for now that your outline has to be thorough and that these are a great guide, and these will be posted on Blackboard for you. Okay? So let's look at our next slide. Okay, using emotion and logic. This is just kind of an interesting piece of information here. Aristotle argued for 3 means of persuasion. Ethos, which is personal character or credibility. That's a way to persuade people. Pathos, generating emotions. Logos, using logic. So 1 or 2 or 3 of these you are going to use. You're going to talk about your personal credibility, appealing to emotion is good, and using logic is good. Under logic, there are 2 types of reasoning. I'm sure you've heard about these. I always get them confused. Deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Okay, deductive reasoning, using a general truth to reach a certain conclusion about a specific instance. Okay, so you're using something that is generally known or that you are informing somebody on, and then you're backing it up with the specifics. Okay, syllogism is a major, under it is a major premise or a general statement, and has a minor premise of a specific statement, and then reaches a conclusion. And there's more about this in your textbook. I'm breezing by these kind of quickly. Here's syllogism in the works. We start with a general statement. All dogs have tails. Einstein is a dog, so Einstein has a tail. We can make that conclusion. We've all heard of that sort of, logic of if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C type thing. Okay? Inductive reasoning says you're using several specific pieces of evidence to draw probable conclusions about general truth. So you're going the opposite direction. Okay? You're doing reasoning by looking at the cause you used when you claim that one event causes another. Here's an example. Use several specific instances that are related to each other to draw conclusion about them. When you conclude that one presence of one thing indicates the presence of another. Okay? That's a sign. And an analogy is a comparison of 2 similar cases in order to argue that what is true in one case is also true in the other because the 2 cases share similar features. So again, this is drawing conclusions based on truths, relating them to each other. Inductive reasoning. And there's a video here on more on that, and look at this in your textbook because, again, we're ripping right through these, okay? All right, this is actually one of my favorites. Logical fallacies. Now, I want you to look in the book at each of these because I find it very pertinent to our daily lives. We run into these all the time, okay? I'm not going to go through each one, but these are important to know because you will use these when you are trying to convince someone of why what they hear or read might not be true. You will use these in dealing with people in business or whatever field you go into. You will hear people mention these. You probably already have. Well, that's a slippery slope. That's a non sequitur. That's a red herring. Well, that begs the question. Know what these mean, okay? Because I wish we had more time to go over these because I think they're really kind of fun and like I said, very pertinent to your everyday life. You will use these, okay? And if you want to know more, there are two YouTube videos at the bottom of the screen here that you can go to, and we'll get you these PowerPoint slides with the videos so that you can watch those. All right, last slide, engaging in dialogic persuasion. Here are some tips. Be open to others. Don't discount when people stand up to you, okay? Because it looks like you're weak. It looks like you're not willing to listen to other people because you're afraid that they might be right. Don't prejudge speakers and audiences, okay? Don't, come with an open mind. Try to understand a speaker's perspective. Which means, if you're listening or if you're giving the speech, try to understand, the different perspectives. I was helping a woman in the lab, and she came in with her way of disciplining her child, which I didn't agree with, but until I heard her. And then I heard from a parent's perspective why she believes in that approach. And I told her afterwards, I said, you've opened my mind. Now, two things happened for that to happen. First, I was open. I was open to looking at a different point of view. B, she gave compelling arguments personally. And it was something she really believed in. So I was persuaded at least to consider a different approach, okay? The next one is avoid inciting your audience, which means you don't need to go to an extreme degree of a particular emotion in your audience. Okay, you have to overdo it. You can be realistic at the same time. Clarify your credentials. We've talked about that, why you're the person who knows about this. And as we said, accept disagreements. Okay, accept that not everyone's going to agree. In a perfect world, that would be great, but it's not always going to happen. Okay. Thank you for bearing with us in this long two-part video. Now, here's what's going to happen from here. You are going to get another video, and what that will have is a persuasive speech in it that I want you to look at, and I'll be commenting on why I think it was good or not throughout. Different parts will be starting and stopping. And then you'll also get an assignment of a speech that you need to look at and critique, okay? I'll also give you these outlines to refer to when you're doing your own outline. I'll give you the PowerPoint slides here that have the YouTube videos on them that you can go to if you want more information on anything. And right now, that's about it. We'll keep you posted as we go along about what what's going to be coming up next, and that'll either be through videos like this and or announcements. So keep checking your email, keep looking at Blackboard, and thanks everybody for bearing with us. This isn't our ideal way of teaching, but it's going to work. We're going to get through it, and I'm so pleased when I see all the assignments that have been turned in that you're doing. So congratulations on that. All right, everybody, that's it for now. Cheers.